You know, with all this stuff about the Will of D, people who are fated to come together, a couple of chapters ago, Yamato was talking about, wow, of all the pirates in the world, you picked his brother. Momo's surprised, wow, the son of the Pirate King, talking about Ace. And it seems that there's a lot of fate surrounding people and people who are just destined to become great. Now that being said, I want to talk about people who are not. And this video, don't take it as a just me telling you stuff, but take it as a starter to a discussion, right? Because I want to discuss about what are we thinking about the characters who are not fated. Luffy, who's fated to become the Pirate King, because we know that is a certainty in the series. It's one of the few things that we know. But what about other characters who are not fated to become King of the Pirates? Because there's many people in this race. And we know that Luffy's going to win, but what about everyone else? What about people from past generations? Like, what are we thinking in regards to them as characters? Are they, like, how good they are as characters, how strong they are, how influential they are, how interesting they are, all these things surrounding them. Because I often wonder, right? Like, just because, let me put it like this. Like, the main characters are like the chosen people in the story. Like, they're always the chosen people. That's why they're the main characters. But everyone else is not the chosen person. And so, does not being the chosen person make you any less of a character in the story than the main character? Right? Now, if you haven't already and you're interested in the discussion, like, please subscribe. Yeah, and if you're wondering if this video contains spoilers, as always, I do put a tag in the description below for both manga and anime if the anime has covered it already. And I do that for all my videos. So if you want to check other videos and you don't want to get spoiled because you're not up to date, yeah, you can check my other videos. There'll always be a spoiler tag letting you know where you have to be to watch without worries of being spoiled. But anyway, back to the question of, how great you are, because some characters accomplish stuff or seem to have accomplished stuff that often gets, brushed off, ignored because they're not the chosen people. Of course, in this generation, we have Luffy, who's a chosen person. Previous generation, we had Roger, who was a chosen person. And maybe at some point in the past, we had Joy Boy. Not really sure what's going on there. But at least for Roger and Luffy, we can say they were like the main characters, the chosen ones of their time. And everyone else was just kind of surrounding them, really. Because I often wonder, like, with stuff we hear, right? Take Ace, for example. Ace seemed like a promising candidate. Ace was the son of the previous Pirate King, right? He unlocked Conqueror's Haki before Luffy. He had this thing that Luffy has that draws people to him. People liked him, right? You read Ace novel. I haven't read Ace novels, but like you hear stuff that happened to Ace beforehand, and it seemed like people really liked Ace. Ace got along with almost everyone he met. There's very few people who you can actually say that Ace didn't get along with these people, right? And so he ends up on Whitebeard's ship. Obviously, took a long time for him to submit to Whitebeard finally, but proved that he was not the main character. But he was still great. Even Whitebeard loved him, right? And so, is Ace any less of a charismatic character than Luffy, right? Is Ace any less of someone who draws people to him than Luffy is? Or was Ace just too early? Right? Is that all that's there about Ace? Was Ace just like Gold Roger, his father, and he just set out a bit too early, so his journey was inconvenienced in a way that Luffy's would have been if Luffy set out a bit earlier, right? Is Ace just as great as Luffy, just came at the wrong time, so he's not the chosen person? Or is there something about Ace which just shows that Ace is just not as great, he'll never be as great, and you know what, Luffy's the one? I mean, talking about people back in Roger's days, we have Shiki, and it's like, for the most part, maybe it's because we don't see Shiki anymore, but Shiki, deserves maybe a bit more respect. I mean, I made a video about top 10 underrated characters, I think it was, and I added him there, but Shiki accomplished a lot of stuff. He was one of the first characters we see. Actually, probably the only character back then we know had an entire fleet under his control. Someone who was on the Rocks pirate crew. Someone who even in a battle that he was losing, Roger decided to run away at the Ed War instead of fight Shiki when he was injured and losing. You know, a legendary man at that, fought both Sengoku and Garp. But he didn't become Pirate King in the end. You know, he was lost to time. But does that make him any weaker when we're talking about fights? Does that make him any less of a great pirate? Right? Is there something about Shiki in that regard that we should say that, you know, because Shiki, you know, he was almost there, but Roger's the one who made it, it must mean that Shiki was weaker. Or it must mean that Shiki was less charismatic. Right? Is that the case, or is it just coincidence, right? Maybe with Whitebeard, it's just coincidence that, you know, Whitebeard wasn't looking to be the Pirate King. That's why Roger was the Pirate King. Maybe Whitebeard was strong enough. Is Whitebeard any less of a pirate because Roger's the one who became the Pirate King in the end and not Whitebeard, right? Is he any less great of a person? Same thing with Oden. Is Oden any less great because he was on both their crews? I mean, given how strong Oden was in his childhood, you know, he probably, if he set out earlier than 18, actually not even 18, like actually earlier than 18, spend time on the sea, kind of like Whitebeard, fought, got stronger, and then finally met Whitebeard and Roger, would he have been as strong as them at that time? Or would he still be weaker? Was there like a ceiling of Oden's strength which he kind of more or less reached, and Whitebeard and Roger, Whitebeard and Roger were out of his grasp? Is that a thing? Because sometimes I think to myself that maybe Oden could have probably been as strong as them. If he had managed to get off of Wano, that is, right? And then finally we come to Eustace Captain Kidd, you know, and we'll probably see what he's made of as time goes, but it seems that a lot of people don't rate him because they think that, you know, what he's done isn't worth much. Now, I've made a video talking about how what he's done is probably equal or even better than what Luffy did. I made 2 videos of that, in fact, but that's not the point. Point is that even if we don't look at his feats, right, just because of what Oda has said about his plans for Kid and the way he has been portrayed, right, does the fact that we haven't actually seen him do something make him any less of a Pirate King candidate, right? Does it make him any weaker? Does it make him any less interesting, right? I mean, of course, we don't know much about him, right? That's always the thing. Like, sometimes you just don't know enough about the character. But, right? But I still see, you know, you still see some people assuming stuff about Kid, assuming who he is, assuming stuff about his crew, which we've never even seen. You know, we've never seen his crew properly, but people are still assuming every which thing about Kid's crew. So for me, at the end of the day, I just wonder sometimes that are some people right in assuming that, you know, maybe a character has to be weaker because they're not the main character, or something like that, right? Or maybe that this character is less of a person. Because I personally don't view it like that, right? I view these people as just as great, right? They're just as respectable. They're great. In some respects, even greater, right? I'm willing to say that Shiki is stronger than Roger. I'm willing to say that Kid is stronger than Luffy. I'm willing to say some of these things, right? Overall, I will still give props to the main characters of their time. I will still, you know, accept that these are the chosen people and that they were chosen for this and that reason, right? For Luffy, at this point, what I can see is because he came at the right time. That's essentially why Luffy was chosen. He came at the right time. You know, other candidates could have been Kid. Other candidates could have been Ace, right? Ace was a very good one. But Luffy came at the right time and had the right setup to, you know, become Pirate King. Ace didn't. But, you know, my point is, I think that these people are just as good, right? I mean, and I think of it like this, right? Think about billionaires in the world. Because that's often a term that we use and we know we kind of make synonymous with success in life, which is a whole other discussion. But think about billionaires and think about how many billionaires they probably are, right? If you had to guess how many billionaires there are in the world, right? And then keep that number in your mind. And now think about how many billionaires you actually know the names of, or you actually know of. Is the number equal, right? And I know right now the number is probably not even equal. Unless you're someone who memorizes these things, the number is not going to be equal. But does that make any of the billionaires you don't know any less of billionaires just because you don't know them, right? Or think about, someone being chosen for a job, or, actually, I was just going to say something else which is equal to a job, but a job, right? Think about someone else being chosen for a job. Many people apply for the job, only one person gets it, right? Just because one person gets it, does that make everyone else less qualified? Automatically? I mean, maybe it does, right? Maybe overall, if we look in detail at everyone, we can probably find something that made that person more qualified, but does it automatically make them the most qualified? Does that automatically make them, the bestest person for the job? Not necessarily. And so for me, I think that in the One Piece story, like, some of these characters are probably greater than Luffy. They will probably always be greater than Luffy in whatever other respects, right? Maybe Luffy overall, for some of them, will be better. But maybe, Luffy won't. And I don't think that with some of these things, Luffy needs to be the greatest. He doesn't always need to be the strongest. He doesn't always need to be the smartest. He doesn't always need to be, the person with a plan who can really figure out what's going on. But of course, Oda is going to highlight aspects of Luffy's character that are important to the story and what make him the Pirate King. But for everything else, I feel like it's really up for grabs. And who knows, maybe with what makes Luffy the Pirate King, there may be someone else who is much better at that than Luffy is. But Luffy also has these other things that they don't, which make him overall a better candidate. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Just, spilling some of my thoughts and really some of the things I've been thinking about that make me wonder, like, is Luffy really that great that he's so much better than everyone? Or do other people have stuff that make them just as good as him, but they just were not picked? Let me know your thoughts down below. Subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Like the video if you liked. And if you know someone who needs to hear this video, share this video with them. I'll put a link to the Discord down below. We can chat there, can have more conversation. Comment down below what you think as well. And thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you have time, please watch one more. And if not, this is King KZ. I'll see you in the next one.